Hi, welcome to this week's Cam's Night Out of the Fire. Today we're going to be talking about blacksmithing books and what I recommend checking out. This was a request by a subscriber. Today I'm having a drink while doing this. I felt like getting into costume because I haven't been feeling quite right recently because I haven't been in costume. It's been a bit weird. So, I got a pile, I think it's about 10 books here that I recommend you guys to, if you can get your hands on, to go and get, or actually just try and get a read of. The books that I do recommend first for the beginners would be the Blacksmith Instructional Guide. This is actually a good one for getting you guys in to learn your basic lessons. It gives you how to do in step by step. It also gives you your basic introductory to stuff. So it's a nice little book, but it will give you 6 basic lessons that will at least get you started in your blacksmithing making skill base. So from that one, I do recommend, if you're going to be doing this as a backyard job, the Backyard Blacksmith. Whole heap of quick little projects, decorative stuff. This will, I can say, it's been one of the usefulest books I've had. So it gives you a introductory photos, the whole lot. Shows you how to rivet, how to do the setups. This one's also got the setup of the shop layout, how to have the forge working and all this. So I do recommend also getting this one if you can. And it's just started raining. From there, I'd go into, now where is it? Where's Edge of the Anvil? The New Edge of the Anvil. This one's a little bit older book, but it also has the how to do the blacksmithing without as many photos. It's more drawings than this one. Gives you references of how to do your swirls, your your riveting, your hammer works, texture, and has some really good reference photos for future projects for yourself to really push yourself. It has a lot of New Age blacksmithing style in here as well, but most of this stuff is from the 70s. So anything after that, you'll be looking more into the modern blacksmith books, what I've got beside me. From there, I'm trying to remember what she's doing. This one's also a handy little book to reference the actual more practical side of the trade side of blacksmithing. Same with, where is it? This one. This one's got a mixture of blacksmithing and farrowing work. What are 2 different trades, in my opinion. But a lot of people compare blacksmiths and farriers as the same job. Just depends on what you've been trained with. I was trained by a Canadian Navy blacksmith, and he would never touch farrowing, so I never got taught. This book actually has how to do the farrowing. It has how to build your forge and setups, the airflow ratios, how to set up the shop, how to make a set of bellows. This is the main reason why I brought this book, was because it actually had how to make bellows for a proper forge. But yeah, this one's also got farrowing work in it, so I recommend having a read of it just to get your bearings with both blacksmithing and farrowing and seeing where the differences are. I see blacksmithing more as a trade of artistic work than just the plain metal, simple, basic metalwork. So then this one here is the Blacksmith and Metalwork book. It's also a good little reference for how to set up your vices, your tools, and wow, that's getting heavy. That actually sounds like hail. But it shows you how to do your rings, your closing, your points, your axes, your turns, the riveting, your blade making, hammer making. I think the reason why I grabbed this one was actually for the hammer making and the tool making side more than anything. But this one also has a bunch of how to make hinges, scrolls, basic gate work, lanterns and stuff I think in this one. It also explains file usage and a whole other bits, so also good one to check out. Let's go. This one's a good one for getting some ideas for your markets and little bits that you can move around easily for your festivals. This one actually shows you the drawings of how to make whole heap of different chairs, fire settings, tables, hanging pots, tools. It's a good little book. I do recommend it. That rain's finally starting to lighten off. You cut your frying pan hangers and this kind of stuff. This one's actually it shows you how the pieces are actually meant to look. It even gives you the measurements in inches. But yeah, it shows you how to... This one's more for projects for you to do if you're going to sell the item as a garden piece, because this one's more garden orientated blacksmithing stuff. I do recommend having a look at it. Or if you're going to be setting up to build your own stuff for your own garden and stuff. So this is a good little book for that one. Now, I'm trying to remember the complete modern blacksmith. Yeah, the complete modern blacksmith. This one's actually shows you as well how to make tools, but this one's got more of your modern tool work. So your welders, your plasma cutters, not your plasma cutters, your lathes, your milling machines, your drill presses, power hammers, and that kind of stuff. How do you use them to make stuff? I do recommend this one. I don't have any of the milling machines, the lathes, or power hammers yet, but I've been reading this book to get some ideas on how to actually make stuff with what I've got. That's basically what I recommend having a read for all this is. You don't need many tools to do your job as a blacksmith, or even just to play. I do recommend trying out different styles. Like most of these ones here are the American and British style of blacksmithing. I do recommend trying to find some really nice... there is some French and German versions of these that I haven't been able to get myself, but I do recommend if you can, even if you can't understand the language in it, but to look through the images to actually work out what books will suit your style of blacksmithing. And I recommend also reading this one. This one here is the decorative and sculpture work. I found this one and it's matching one what is actually sculpture and architecture version, one of these, when I was at uni, and I was only able to find this book online to buy. This one gives you more images than tutorials. It shows you how to do, or how some of the more artistic flares from the once blacksmithing stopped being a mass production trade to actually more the artistic sculpture work that most of us are heading down or been in. But yeah, it does show you some little tricks of doing stuff to actually show you how to do in here, but it's more your decorative, your etching, your carving, your raising, your forming, your dishing, your armor making, that kind of stuff. Like there's even got a basic blade making section within this one, and I mean basic blade making section. And it sounds like someone wants to talk to me. But yeah, it gives you some basic stuff. It also shows a little panel in here what actually shows how to do some basic Damascus. What brings me on to that's the blacksmithing books. I may do a blade making one of these as well, so I'll have to get them out the bookshelf behind me. But yeah, that gives you, I think it is 9 books for you guys to check out. I do also recommend reading the books more so than going online and watching all your YouTube tutorials. The reason is these are all being peer reviewed, so this is not just one person's thoughts on how blacksmithing is done. This also gets checked by fellow blacksmiths in their area to make sure that all the information within the books is actually correct. It's something that I learnt while at uni is a physical book, what has been checked and has a proper research bar in the back of them like most of these do, is the more correct information than someone just on YouTube, just on the internet. Because on YouTube and online you can publish information without actually having the facts to prove it. Someone could tell you something and that could have been told by someone, but all that information has been slowly altered over that time. You just never know if it's actual factual true. Most famous one is Damascus blades. I find some blades are good, some blades are bad. It just depends on the quality of material, the method of doing it, who's made it, because that's the big one. You can have a really pretty Damascus blade made by a master bladesmith, or you could have a blacksmith made Damascus blade who did it as an experiment and a muck around, and he may have faults or flaws in it without actually knowing he's got faults and flaws in it. So it really depends on how they've been taught, where they learnt their knowledge from, and how they develop their style. I do recommend always being able to, if someone tells you information, try and get more information off them, where they get that information from. If it's a book form, great, but most of these books will also reference each other, so I do recommend checking it out. From the reenactment side of my trade is I must have 3 separate references what are not connected or from the same source to prove that an item is made of that style, that method. It's one of those weird little things that I've been taught by the reenactment society stuff, was to always double check your information, because there's stuff out there that I know has not been not correct in the supplying of information. So I try and give you guys the information that I know, but I also recommend you going and finding your own doing your own research and checking stuff. But if you want to just go online and find stuff, there are good reference points to start. I do recommend checking out Black Bear Forge, and I think it's Cross Central Iron Works, I think it is. Roy, who's a blacksmith on YouTube, he's a good reference. He's actually now getting into, I believe, Baroque ironwork. Some of these books actually have references in it of Baroque artwork, blacksmithing. Here's a good reference for beginners and intermediates. Black Bear Forge is also good for teaching. He's actually good for teaching basic blacksmithing tutorials. I've even learnt stuff off these two. I've been in the trade now 25 years and I'm still learning. So I do recommend checking your resources, have a look at your books. Definitely use the YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff as a good starting point, but I do recommend going to your books and checking them out. If you like this kind of content, let me know. I will be doing some making videos where I am literally just going to be making some stock for myself, actually making an item for myself for the next couple days, because since what the world's been crazy, my physical shop I've closed it for a little while until I'm able to reopen. I will be doing some hardened wet forming and carving leather. So if you'd like to hear more about that, check me out and let me know what you want to hear and what you want to see. I may also do a a blade making tutorial book review as well. So I'll let you know, and like, comment and subscribe, and if you like this content and want more, let me know, and check me out on Etsy and Ko-fi. So I'll catch you next time.